Hi, I'm Claire, and for those of you who don't know me, 5 years ago I quit my full-time job in London to pursue my dream as an artist. In 2020, during a global pandemic, I launched my own studio, saw my artworks go viral, was featured in magazines like Harper's Bazaar and Glamour, and sold work to collectors from California to Qatar. I even collaborated with brands such as Adobe and Luxton and launched public artwork on Regent Street in London. I'm now a full-time contemporary artist, and today I'm going to be answering questions on how I got here and hopefully give you guys some helpful insights on how you could launch your own career. So over on my Instagram and TikTok, I asked you guys what questions you would like me to answer. Thank you for all of your suggestions. I've gone through them all and picked out not only my favourite ones, but the ones I thought would be most useful to you. So let's jump in. So, question number 1 for some context. Manny asks, from a fellow alumni, why did you choose to do your degree at Goldsmiths, and how has your time there shaped you as an artist? So let's wind the clocks right back. From a very, very young age, my mum says from the womb, I have known I've always wanted to be an artist. I feel like it's something that is just inherently within me. It's part of how I see the world. It's part of how my life has evolved. It's in my blood. When I finished school, I wanted to study fine art. So I did a 1-year foundation course at University of the Creative Arts, Canterbury. In the UK, you need to do a 1-year foundation course to then be able to move on to the degree courses. So overall, your BA Fine Art degree ends up being 4 years. So I had an amazing year at Canterbury, experimenting, diversifying my practice before I moved on to my fine art degree. I applied to a number of different universities, and my final decision came down to Central St Martin's and Goldsmiths, and in the end I picked Goldsmiths. Manny was lovely enough to send me a message saying, I had no idea you went to Goldsmiths. We were there at very different times, but he said it was nice to see someone who'd been to the same university as him doing well. Now, when I was at Goldsmiths, the reason why I picked it over Central St Martin's was that it's a much more independent course. I'm definitely a good independent learner, and I didn't want the projects to be too prescriptive or subject based. I wanted to be really able to explore my practice and look into different themes, textures, materiality, physicality, without having to think about a specific topic in mind. My time at Goldsmiths certainly shaped me, if not just as an artist, as a person. I think that going to university can be very enriching. It's certainly 100% not the only path, and I feel that you can equally become a successful artist without it. But for me, the time that I did have at Goldsmiths definitely shaped my practice in the way that I look at materials and the way in which I push myself individually. And I think it did develop that individual side of me to feel a level of confidence in my abilities and my practice and my unique voice as an artist. So my next question is from Max, and they ask, Hi Claire, here is my question. How can you inspire yourself, and what are you actually thinking when you make this kind of artwork? Now, I think inspiration is actually a really important topic to discuss, and it's one of the reasons I picked this question. Inspiration is something that is not a constant. I am not constantly inspired, and no one is. I think it's really important that we know this and acknowledge this. It is something that ebbs and flows, and I have learnt the hard way over the years to be kind to myself on this topic. You don't always have to be on top of your game or insanely creative all the time. In fact, most of my inspiration comes from either mistakes or downtime, when I'm allowing myself to explore other aspects of my life, when I'm relaxed and my brain is fully engaged and sparking and happy, is often when I'm most inspired. I also think it's really important that we're not constantly seeking our inspiration from social media. I think now social media is obviously an amazingly powerful platform. It's something that allows, especially as an artist, to connect on a global platform, and that's really empowering. However, it can be so easy to start to compare yourself, and whilst it's great to seek inspiration and be aware of your peers and what they're doing, for me personally, I think it can become really unhealthy to start to seek inspiration that way, because I think it ceases to become inspiration and can be quite detrimental to our mental health and well-being. So for me, my inspiration has always come from things like classical literature, music, friends, family, travel, different cultures, and especially nature. If you know my work, then you'll know that nature is heavily influential within my work. I'm so interested on the relationship between us as humans and the way that nature is involved within our lives and how vulnerable both us and nature are together. I chose the next question from Hannah as I felt it flowed really nicely from our previous conversation about inspiration. Hannah asks, how did you find your style? Now, this is something that I chat about a lot and get asked a lot on Instagram, on my website, from various different sources. And I think the reason I get asked it a lot is more and more, especially when you're first starting out, you start to see that successful artists, whether they be contemporary or historical, all have really refined, unique styles. And finding your own can be a real goal and a challenge when you're first starting out. Now, over the years when I've been asked this question, I've put a lot of thought into how I did find my style, as I think when you're finding your style, it's not necessarily something that you're always conscious of. It certainly wasn't on my part. I truly feel that there is no one path to finding your style, but from my point of view, I've tried to scribble it down in my notes into 3 semi-concise answers that I think will help you on your path to finding your own unique style. The first step is quite a boring one, especially in the creative industry, but that is to be consistent. Now, being consistent is highly underrated and is one of the most powerful tools that you can have at your fingertips when it comes to finding your own style. By being consistent, you allow yourself to iron out the things that really do work for you and those that don't. In being consistent, I was able to see what I actually found inspiring within my practice, conversations that worked and materials and experimentations that didn't. But in those failings or in those nuances where things weren't quite working for me, I found new opportunities and new inspiration. The second step, coming from a self-confessed perfectionist, is to not overthink. This is certainly easier said than done, I will admit. However, not overthinking, again, is a very powerful tool. Often what I would find myself doing, and often what I see young artists doing, is they will write off an idea before they've even made it. I call this overthinking at its worst. You can certainly analyse your work, but do this afterwards once you've made it. Don't analyse it before you've even created it, because often when I was first starting out, I would completely write off an idea even before it had become a reality. By doing this, you allow yourself to be open-minded, open-natured, and throw yourself fully into the creation of an artwork. Afterwards, it may not be what you wanted to create. In fact, it might be something even better than you imagined creating. Or you might not like it at all and it might go on the rubbish heap. But it's in those moments that you truly find your style. The third and final step that I think is really crucial is to be true to your own voice as an artist. As I said before, especially with social media, it's super easy to compare yourself to other artists and to your peers. And whilst it's important to be aware of your contemporaries, I also think that being true to your own voice and your own style and not hung up on they're doing this successfully, they're doing that successfully. It doesn't mean that what you're doing and your own true path is no more successful than them. When they say a rose is beautiful, but then a lily is beautiful, you have all of these beautiful blooms that thrive in different conditions, and you as a plant or a flower will thrive in your own truest form and conditions. The final question that I thought I would address today is a big one. In fact, this was the question I got asked the most in a number of different ways. It's in several parts and I'll try and answer it as concisely as possible. However, I may make another video on this separately soon as it is quite a large topic, but I'll summarise it as best I can here. Yoshi asks, after seeing this post, my biggest question is, how did you get your art from screen all the way to a gallery? How did that road go for you? Is it something that just happened? Did you always feel the need to expose it in a space, and did you work your arse off for it? Cheers from Belgium. To address the first part of the question, how did I get my art from screen to gallery? Well, in fact, it actually happened the opposite way. When I first graduated from Goldsmiths, I got a full-time job working in an architect's office in London. At the same time, I was still working on my fine art practice, and I sold a lot of my works that I produced for my degree show to collectors in Qatar and America. At this point, I saw this could be a viable career for me, so decided to quit my full-time job and pursue my dream as an artist. This was an exceedingly nerve-wracking time, and at this moment in time, I had no social media, no presence on screen for my artwork, but my artwork was already selling. People had noticed my artwork from the degree show. It had got some publicity within different magazines, so my artwork was already out there for collectors to be seeing. Quitting my job for sure was a very nerve-wracking and difficult decision to make, but it was something that I felt I owed to myself, and it was at that point when I quit my job that I decided to start to have a social media presence. Now I actually regret not having a social media presence much early on in my career. However, it wasn't something that felt instinctively natural to me. In fact, I resisted social media for a very long time, but soon saw the power of the medium and how I could use it to help promote my work. So in fact, my work was already in a gallery and I was selling my artwork way before it ever was on screen. To address if it was something that just happened to me and did I work my arse off for it, yes, I 100% did. I am very much a hard worker. I'm a workaholic, 100%. I'm exceedingly driven, and I often get in trouble from my fiance Scott for not stopping work and relaxing. It's something that is just a pure passion of mine, and I knew that if I put my mind to it, I could succeed in becoming a full-time contemporary artist. When I quit my job, the first few things that I did were set up a website, set up my Instagram profile, and start to connect with different galleries and any contacts that I'd made over the years. I can't tell you how valuable it is to connect and network with people. Some connections that you have very early on in your career that might not seem valuable at the time may grow and blossom into something that could really set up a different aspect of your career in the future. They could become work partners, colleagues, or someone that even sponsors you in future collaborations. Being a full-time artist is a full-time job. I work late into evenings, early mornings, all through weekends, throughout my holidays. I don't really take a break because it is my job, it is my passion, but to me it's completely worth it. When I started working with galleries, I saw the potential in how exposure can lead to different opportunities, so really maximised on this on my social media and on my website. Some of the most valuable opportunities as an artist when you're first starting out consist of competitions, exhibitions, media press coverage, and also collaborations on social media. There are a plethora of different competitions available to artists. Some will have a small fee, others will be completely free. It can be very daunting putting yourself out there, but that's really ultimately what you have to do. You really need to back yourself, believe in your practice, and consistently develop and work on your art. Like I said before, networking and connections are incredibly valuable and important. And when you're putting yourself out there, you really need to believe in yourself and put your best foot forward. After a few years of working with a gallery, I was able to have 2 solo shows in London. I learned so much from this experience as I was able to gauge how my work shows on a larger scale, how I curate a space, how the public and media interact with my artwork, and this has really helped me spring forward in my career today. And that brings me right up to today. I'm collaborating with global brands, working on multiple different collections, and I'm currently working on a big studio expansion, which I'm going to be sharing with you very soon. I really hope you found today's video informative and enjoyed the format. I would love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love it if you would subscribe. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below, and I really hope to see you next Friday. Enjoy and keep creating.